I think this video is going live on Thanksgiving, so if it's a holiday you celebrate, happy Thanksgiving. And even if you don't, I'm sure you are excited to take advantage of some of the upcoming Black Friday sales. Now, obviously Hermes will not be offering us a discount in store, but I was kind of inspired by this time of year to share with you some of my tips and tricks on how to save money while you are on your Hermes journey trying to get your hands on your dream bag. And if you decide to go down the route of getting an Hermes bag pre-loved, how you can save thousands and thousands of dollars, especially considering that some of the biggest resale sites I'm sure will be offering some pretty good deals for Cyber Week. So if you'd like to hear my tips and tricks on how to save money on Hermes, which I know it's a sentence you never thought you'd hear on YouTube, then make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, and keep on watching. So I'm thinking we should start with some of my tips on how not to waste money if you decide to buy Hermes in store, and then the second half of the video is going to be dedicated to buying Hermes pieces pre-loved. And even if you're not someone who ever considered buying Hermes pre-loved, you definitely want to hear me out, because in some cases, depending on what you're looking for, you can save thousands and thousands of dollars, a fortune that can go towards something else, that can go into your savings account, or something that you can put towards another bag or something else that your heart desires. But let's start with some of my tips if you are going to start your Hermes journey, or even if you are already on your Hermes journey and you need a little bit of guidance on what to and what not to buy. And today we will not be discussing specific pieces. I have a ton of videos discussing what to buy from Hermes and what not to waste your money on. These are going to be sort of general, not rules, but things that I would love for you to keep in mind, because I have to be honest, Hermes stores these days can often remind me of the checkout line of a grocery store. And you want to hear me out, I have not lost my mind. What I mean here is that, you know, when you go to a grocery store and you get to the checkout section, whether it's a self-checkout or there's an actual cashier sitting there, they'll have all these little bits and pieces that you never thought you needed. They have gum, they have mints, they have cords that won't break the bank, but things that you don't really need. And to be honest, Hermes isn't that dissimilar. I feel like a lot of us make impulse purchases when we go to Hermes, especially these days when their stock is as few and far between as it can get. I mean, I think it happens more often than not that people go into the store looking for something and then end up coming out with something that they never really wanted in the first place, because what they went in to get wasn't available, and they felt like that, you know, since I'm already here, I might as well take advantage of me being in a boutique, and they'll desperately start looking for something just to buy for the sake of buying, either because they're already there or because they're thinking that, you know, I have to establish myself as a client, so I have to buy things even if I don't really want them. So my first tip would be not to buy things that you don't really want. Let me bust the biggest Hermes myth. You do not have to buy everything under the sun for you to be able to put in a wish for the Hermes bag of your dreams. Sure, if you're clearing shelves, it is going to accelerate your Hermes journey, but it will also ruin your overall experience. So if you have a budget, if you want to be a conscious consumer and you don't want to waste money on things that you don't really want, please don't buy things just because what you're looking for isn't available, or buy things because you think that that will be the key to getting your hands on your Hermes bag. I mean, if you have no budget, it doesn't matter what you buy, you go for it. But if you would like to curate a collection that is full of pieces that you love and you can't take advantage of, let me tell you, buying an extra blanket or an extra pillow will not make that big of a difference. You're much better off waiting for something to become available that you actually would be able to take advantage of. So my first tip is not to buy things just because you're already in store and what you're looking for isn't available, or because you're thinking that that last $1,000 is going to decide whether or not you get to put in a wish for your dream bag. And tip number 2 is for you to be patient. Please do not buy things just because you get them offered. I think I have talked about this before several times, but you will not get blacklisted for turning down a bag, for turning down a wallet, for turning down anything that you get offered if it's not something that you truly want. So let's say you have your heart set on a pink bag and you get offered a blue bag, a green bag, an orange bag, and a red bag, you do not have to take any one of them if they are not things that you actually want to have in your collection. If you really want to get a pink bag, just stay true to your original vision and what you really want to have in your collection, because at the end of the day, it is a lot of money to spend on something that you don't really want, especially considering that if your dream bag becomes available a week later, a week after you got that bag that you never really wanted, I can tell you that your advisor will not be thinking of you and your wish to be satisfied when they have just offered you a bag. So your dream bag might become available, but it will go to someone else who has been waiting for a bag a lot longer. So if anything, turning down a bag can actually help you establish a rapport and a relationship with a brand rather than hurting your relationship, because the more they understand you, the more they become familiar with your style, the better understanding they'll have of what pieces you actually are looking for and what pieces you are open to adding to your collection. And yes, Hermes at the end of the day is a business. They are there to make money, but I'm sure that 99.9% of advisors working for Hermes are trying to make your dreams come true. They are not there to stand in your way or to put you in this Hermes game. I feel like Hermes often gets villainized, especially by people who are impatient, people who buy things just for the sake of getting a bag, and then when they don't get what they wanted, they start speaking badly of Hermes, which there's nothing wrong with. It's a free country or a free world, whatever you want to call it. You can say whatever you want, but I feel like we should give more credit to advisors than some people online do. Trust me, most of them are there because they want to make you happy and they also want to have a great day, and if they can bring some joy into your life, that will also make their day a little bit brighter, I would like to think. And you can call me naive, but that has been my personal experience buying Hermes for the past decade. So please make sure that you don't buy things that you don't really want. You do not waste your money, because not everything that comes in an orange box is a masterpiece. Before moving on to my next tip, I would like to emphasize tip number 1 again, which let's repeat it together. Do not buy things that you don't really want. Don't buy things that you don't have a gap for in your collection just for the sake of buying something. However, if there is something that you've had your eyes on for a while, if there is something that you have been saving up for, and it wouldn't be an irresponsible decision to buy it now, I would suggest buying it sooner rather than later, because let's not forget that at the beginning of each year, Hermes has a price increase. And I have a suspicion, I don't have any insider information, except some of you also mentioning this in the comment section, but I do have a suspicion that at the beginning of next year, there is going to be a pretty decent price increase because of everything going on in the world. And let's not forget about all the other luxury brands who have been playing around with adjusting their prices throughout the year. Obviously, Hermes is not the most expensive brand at this point, and I'm not sure if it is their aim to become the most expensive brand, but I'm sure that they are trying to get up there, and they don't exist in a vacuum. They are very much aware of other brands' pricing strategies. So I wouldn't be surprised if they too had a pretty decent price increase at the beginning of next year. So if you have been toying with the idea of adding a piece of jewelry to your collection, if there are some foundation pieces that you've had your eyes on, maybe get them sooner rather than later, before 2024 comes around, as long as it's not a financial burden on you. Because one thing I will never encourage is irresponsible spending. It doesn't matter how beautiful Hermes is, it's not worth the headache of you trying to figure out how to pay for something else or how to pay off your credit card. I understand that December is going to be a really expensive month for most people, so if you have other priorities, I completely understand. But if you would have bought these pieces anyway, if these are things that you have been saving up for and it is not something that will cause a headache, it might be something that is worth looking into now before the price increase takes place at the beginning of next year. Now, if you have never bought Hermes Preloved, which I am in that very same boat, I can relate. I understand how intimidating it feels to buy something outside of the boutique, because no matter how much less expensive it is to buy something on the Preloved market, it is still a lot of money to spend on something that you are not sure about. You know, Authenticity can be a big issue. Verifying and confirming where a piece is coming from and whether or not it is the real deal, I think, is the biggest barrier for most people to make a purchase on the pre-loved market, which I want to let you know that I'm not an expert on the topic by any means. I have never bought an Hermes bag on the pre-loved market. However, I did a ton of research and I do have a series on where to and where not to buy Hermes pre-loved, which are the sites and places that I would trust and which ones I would personally not turn to. I do have tips on what pieces to buy pre-loved and which ones not to, and what are the little details that you should look out for when it comes to the authenticity of a bag, and also how to go about having a piece authenticated by Hermes, because unfortunately it's not as simple as walking into your local boutique with a bag or a piece of SLG that you acquired on the pre-loved market and asking for your advisor for their feedback. I mean, if you have a great relationship, it might be something that they feel comfortable sharing with you, but it's not like they'll whip out a magnifying glass and they'll start inspecting the bag on the spot for you. It's not something that I believe they are allowed to do. So there is a way around it, which I have shared in previous videos, and we can definitely talk about it at the end of this one. But the first tip that I want to give you is that you should do a ton of research before you buy anything pre-loved. A great place to start, even if I say so myself, would be my series on buying Hermes pre-loved, because I put a ton of work and research into those videos for you. So if you are brand new to the world of buying Hermes pre-loved, that might be a great way to start, but I would never want you to buy something that you are not 110% comfortable with, because no matter how big the saving is, if at the end of the day you're not happy with your purchase and if you're not comfortable carrying it, if you always have the tiniest doubt in the back of your mind whether the piece is the real deal or not, in my opinion, it is not worth the sacrifice. But of course, you can always ask for Hermes's seal of approval. So that is something that you should not forget. And then another thing that is incredibly important for you to be aware of is trends and popularity of different Hermes bags, because unlike Hermes, who prices their bags based on how much material, work, and effort goes into a piece, the pre-loved market has a demand-based pricing, which means that the more popular a bag is, the more expensive it's going to be on the pre-loved market. So let's say when it comes to Hermes, the smaller the bag, the cheaper it's going to be. Obviously, more often than not, there are of course exceptions, like getting an art bag or a bag made of a really special material. But across the board, if we are looking at a line of bags that are made of the exact same leather, that feature the same details and the same structure, the larger the bag, the more expensive it's going to be. However, when we look at the pre-loved market, we see the opposite, just because of the current trends. Obviously, smaller bags are still incredibly popular. So on the pre-loved market, if you're looking to buy a smaller bag, there is going to be a premium that you will be required to pay. Now, whether it is worth it for you or not, that is something that you have to consider. If there is nothing that you like from Hermes, if you don't want to waste your money and your time on buying things that you don't want, or establishing a relationship with a brand that you don't really care about, there is nothing wrong with buying something on the pre-loved market whenever you want it and however you want it, in whatever color, finish, style, shape really suits you. So I am not against buying things pre-loved, but just keep in mind that there are trends that will influence the pricing of pieces. And then another thing that is incredibly important for you to know is that the Hermes SPA is always there to help you. So let's say you find something on the pre-loved market that is perhaps not in the best shape, which is also represented in the price. Do keep in mind that you can always take advantage of the Hermes SPA no matter where you bought your piece. As long as it is an authentic Hermes piece, you can take it into your local boutique and ask them to have it serviced, after which it will be sent to France, or if it's made of exotic leather, it will be sent to the closest workshop. It will be inspected, and they'll give you a quote on what can be fixed and how much it is going to set you back. A few things for you to keep in mind: some things that are really expensive to be fixed or cannot be fixed are structural issues. So if the bag has lost its structure, it's not something that Hermes can do a lot about. The lining will never be replaced. So if there are stains, if there are marks on the inside of the bag, it's not something that Hermes will be able to fix for you. And then one thing that is insanely expensive to fix on a bag is the handles. So if you're buying a Birkin, do keep in mind that the handles are quite expensive to replace or even give a little bit of a facelift. But everything else, including the handles, of course, can be fixed and can be even fully replaced if need be. But the handles are going to be quite expensive. But I have seen the Hermes SPA do some true miracles. So just keep that in mind if you find something at an amazing price, but something that needs a little bit of work. The Hermes SPA is something you can always rely on, because Hermes believes, and I am quoting here, that luxury is that which can be repaired. I mean, so much thought, effort, and attention goes into the creation of their pieces that it would be a shame for their pieces just to, fade into nothing over time. It is something that they're very proud of, that if you take back a piece to them, it is something that they can bring back to life in most cases. So obviously we talked about trends and smaller bags being more expensive, but if you find, let's say, if you're after a larger Birkin or a larger Kelly, let's say a Birkin 35 or even a Kelly 35, a piece that's not in the best shape, but it is being offered at an amazing price, it might be worth for you to look into having it repaired by the Hermes SPA. Not to mention that if it's something that the Hermes SPA is willing to work on, that is all the confirmation you could possibly need that the piece is indeed authentic. If an Hermes craftsman is willing to take it apart and work on it, that pretty much means that the piece is authentic. You will never get an authenticity letter. You will never get confirmation from Hermes that the piece is indeed the real deal. However, if they're willing to work on it, if they're willing to clean it and fix it up for you, you are looking at the real thing. And my friends, this brings us to the end of today's video on how to save money on Hermes. I hope you found these tips helpful, and I hope you'll be able to implement some of these yourself. I will make sure to have all the corresponding videos linked down below for you in the info box. And if I come across any Cyber Week discounts being offered by Preloved sites, I will also leave those in the info box down below for you, alongside with any bags that pique my interest or bags that I think you would want to see. I cannot wait to hear your thoughts on this video, and if there's anything that is currently on your Cyber Week wish list, please do share in the comment section with us. I always love getting a little sneak peek into what you are planning on adding to your collection. And while you're down there, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. I really appreciate you being here and watching, and I hope to see you back here with a new video really, really soon.